Rosie Stanko, and I would like to welcome you to this evening's edition of In the New Age. Once again, we have a very interesting show for you this evening. I've asked Cathy Fischer to come and be my guest this evening, and Cathy, I just met recently, and she channels a being, I think a being, she can tell us, named Creatious. Right. So I'd like to welcome you, Cathy. Hello.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming on the show. Appreciate it.
Great to be here.
So, Cathy, to begin with, I guess the first thing is, who is Creatious? Or what is Creatious, if you can...
Yeah, Creatious describes himself, herself, it's really not gender specific, as the energy of being. So all being, the great oneness. And the name Creatious is just a name that I'm going to call him he, but that he has given to himself as a focus for us, so that we have someone to direct our questions to, so we have someone that we can sort of recognize. But in fact, he's really just everything. He's all being, and this is how he presents himself to us.
Okay. I know with the law of attraction, there is a collective consciousness that channels through Esther Hicks that goes by Abraham, which is also not a person or not one sort of thing, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
kind of a collection or a collective of
that energy.
Energy, I guess. Yeah, that is the best word, I guess. And so how did Creatious come to you, or how did you know that Creatious could come through you, or however you want to term it? I'm not quite sure what the right words are.
Well, it started about 23 years ago. I was a past life regression groupie. I have a good friend, who's now a good friend, Norton Berkowitz, who does past life regression workshops. And at the time, he was doing them through the Learning Exchange in Hartford. And I would go session after session. And as part of his regression, what he does is he'll take one person after regressing the whole group and go in depth with them. And the thinking at the time was, if in the past life you were visiting, you were a religious person of some sort, then it meant that you were a very old soul. And I was coming through as an Incan or Mayan priest. And so Norton said to me, okay, let's go back to your very earliest lifetime. And it's only happened to me once, but it was an incredible experience where it just felt like my chest burst open. And it was like on Star Trek, where they say, take it to warp speed, Scotty, and field of rushing stars. And then Norton started to ask questions the way he typically would. When I opened my eyes at the end of it, everyone was sitting there with saucer-sized eyes looking at me because of the level of the questions that were coming through. Okay. And so then Norton and I started working together to try and find out more. And we invited someone named Don Hayes, who was a friend of Norton's, to come and listen and see what he could make of it. And he said, oh, this isn't a past life, Cathy's channeling. So since then, and again, it's about 23 years, give or take, we've been getting together every month or every 2 months to ask more questions. And as we've done that, it's become much more fluid, and our information and knowledge has just expanded incredibly. So it's very exciting.
So we only have a half-hour show, and we could talk a long time about channeling and all of that, but what we really want to do is we really want to meet Creatious.
Okay, great.
And I'd really like to ask Creatious some questions if we could. So could you bring Creatious?
Take 1 second.
Okay.
And we are well met, are we not? So we have many questions.
Yes, we have many questions. Thanks for coming, Creatious.
This as well.
I guess the first thing I want you to talk to us about is, you had talked the other day about the oneness that exists with all people and all things on this planet. Can you explain that to me?
Indeed. We are all one. Not just on this planet, not just mankind, but all things seen and unseen, the very air that you breathe, the people assembled in this room, the chair that you sit upon, all things. Not just on this sphere, but throughout the universe and beyond, because the universe is far beyond that which is known to humankind. And so when we speak of being, we speak of all of this great massive energy. It is a living dynamic force in constant change, in constant motion. It is every possible imagining. It is your emotions, it is your thought, they are ideas, all things.
So how is it that I am Rosie and someone else is Bill or Tom? If we are all one, how can we be different with our own personalities?
This is the manifestation of humankind. The goal of being, our project, is to polish the stone. And when I say polish the stone, it's to bring greater experience, greater learning, greater knowledge to being. And while I would say to you that being is all-knowing, as part of that, we are so wise that we know that we do not know all things. And so we continue to expand our knowledge by creating vehicles such as ourselves in the human form to come and to gather more information, more experience, more emotion, more thought, more ideas through your very actions. And you are personified by the ego, for the ego is what allows you to survive, is it not? And so here you are in your shell, and that is how you move about. It's as if you are a little vacuum cleaner, going about gathering day to day all the moments of that day and bringing them back to the greatness that is being.
And so, with all of us on this planet, it seems like we're constantly faced with challenges and difficulties.
Indeed.
And is that because we are creating those for ourselves?
Indeed. For we are, and this will cause problems for some, but we are each in our own way, and as the whole of being, we are God. We are the creator of all. And we create through our thoughts and our actions. So all of the unrest, all of the bliss and the happiness, the joy, the sadness, the despair, all of these things are manifestations of being, and they are created by ourselves.
And so if we were doing that so we can learn, wouldn't we rather just be happy and at peace with ourselves and with each other?
What I would say to you is, on this plane, we are within a certain environment that allows for the ego to take control. That individuality, the very individuality that allows us to gather these lessons, to gather these experiences, does so by creating this unrest. Because in complete peace and serenity, where is the practice? And it is oftentimes through the most horrific experience that we learn the most, because the lesson is not to the individual, but the lesson is far-reaching. So if you were to look at a disaster, shall we say the disaster of 9/11 in this country, that disaster was multifaceted in its lessons, not only to those individuals who were directly involved, but to your entire planet, to all those who observed, who learned of, who heard, who experienced. That lesson was far-reaching. And it continues even today, and it will continue for many years to come because of the magnitude of that experience. So in perfect peace and serenity, there is no challenge to draw from. Does this make sense to you?
It makes sense. And I'm wondering if there are many of us that try very